Assalamualaikum. So let's continue to part 3 of our chapter 5, which is on the preparations and presentations of accounting information and disclosure of accounting information. Here we will see the difference on how IFI prepare and disclose their information in the financial statement. Okay, without further ado, let's go. On the first slide, you will see the general presentation and disclosure requirement based on the IFI standard. Here, we will see on how Islamic Bank disclose and present the accounting informations on their financial statements. Okay, it is as stated in IFIs 1 that issued by IFI. Okay, the standard ni mention that the financial statement have to be prepared by the Islamic Bank for the main user of the statement lah, right? Okay, next. Okay, dekat sini kita nak tengok what is the requirement for the Islamic Bank to disclose according to IFI. Okay, the disclosure requirement in accounting disclosure. So, in terms of IFI tadi, the firm need to avoid any riba transaction. Okay, the firms are required to pay zakat on saving shared zakat, full disclosure of account information to user for purpose of serving God. Of course, tengok balik karakteristik atau definitions of accounting in Islamic perspective tadi, kita kena ada ataupun kita kena record in full disclosure, complete, transparent and also apa tadi? Dia ada satu and also proper. So dalam ni kena follow kiranya disclosure requirements in terms of IFI ni ada tercatat dalam surah Al-Baqarah ayat 282 ke 232. Itulah kan, which have to avoid riba, kena pay zakat and also kena ada full disclosure. Okay, IFIs FAS1, which is on the presentation tu tadi tu, a complete set of financial statement consists of conventional statement, ada SOFP, balance sheet, ada income statement, ada cash flow statement, ada statement of changes of equity and also ada notes to the financial statement. So lebih kurang sama je macam IASB. Tapi ada campur, dia ada 3 additional statement according to FES 1, which is ada statement of change in restricted investment, ada statement of sources and uses of the funds in the zakah and charity funds, statements of sources and uses of fund in the court fund. Sebab kan kita kena bayar zakat kan, so kena ada buka statement dia lah, and also kena ada statement of this another 2 additional information which is tak ada dalam IASB punya standard framework. Okay, so what is the unique of function of IFIs ni? So the unique ni, dia ada rules of Sharia advisor or Sharia board supervising the bank activities, and plus the bank tu is responsible towards zakat. So ada 2 unique function ni. So dua-dua ni is the important aspect of unique function. Satu ada Sharia advisor and one the bank have to have the responsibility to pay the zakat lah. Okay, in terms of the disclosure of significant accounting policies, macam tadi kita dah tengok the requirements atau the basic requirement for Islamic Bank to disclose their information. But this one in terms of dia punya accounting policies pula. Okay. For the first point, dia kata accounting policies adopted by the management of Islamic Bank, but it is not consistent. So for example, accounting policy and not consistent of Islamic Bank tu is this one lah, revaluations of asset, liability and restricted investment to their cash equivalent value. So this is all elements that need to disclose dia punya accounting policies by Islamic Bank. As for disclosure of earnings or expenditure prohibited by Sharia ni, the amounts and nature of earning or expenditure that have been realized or incurred from sources or by means which are not permitted by Sharia akan didisclosekan lah dalam accounting policies of IFIs ni. Contohnya yang not permitted by Sharia ni macam ada expenditure or earnings yang ada unsur riba ke, gharar ke, gambling ke. So all of these prohibited transaction will be disclosed and it need lah under IFIs standard. And also dispose of the asset generated by the prohibited earning or acquired through prohibited expenditure. So any asset yang generate by the prohibited earning akan didisposekan, right? To show that to enhance the confidence of stakeholders on the integrity of Islamic financial institution. Okay. The disclosure of significant accounting policy lagi. The third one requires disclosure related to unrestricted and restricted investment account. So dia kena disclose, Islamic bank tu dia kena disclose required on the magnitude of balances of all unrestricted investment account and their equivalent, and it should be made on the distributions of unrestricted investment account in accordance with maturity. So dia kena disclose all the unrestricted investment account along with the maturity date semualah, kiranya kena detail lah nak disclose unrestricted investment account tu. Fourth, the disclosure of the method used by the Islamic bank in allocating investment profit losses between unrestricted investment account holders or their equivalent. Means dekat sini Islamic bank pun kena disclosekan the method used on how they calculate dia punya profit ataupun loss of that restricted atau unrestricted investment account tersebut. So there are 4 requirements for Islamic bank to disclose in terms of their punya accounting policies. Disclosures required on balance sheet investment account. Macam tadi disclosures policy. This one is on the balance sheet. So disclosure should be made in the note to the financial statement on the accounting policies and of the basis applied by IFIs in allocation of profit between owners, equity and investment account holder. So, dia punya allocation of profit between owners and equity investment ni kena stated or letak dalam notes of financial statement. Itu dia nak cakap lah. And then the disclosure should be made in the notes of financial statement juga on the significant accounting policy of the basis applied by IFIs for charging provision and the parties to whom they revert once they are no longer required. So if there are any policies on charging provision to the parties, dia pun kena statekan in the notes to financial statement. So dalam notes to financial statement ni kena disclose 2 lah. Kan notes ni kan after balance sheet kan. Dalam notes ni kena tulis 2 policies on the allocations of profit and also on the charging provision tu. Next, the comparison between IFI standard and ISP standard ni tadi kita dah tengok kan. The comparison between of the structure objective, kita dah tengok dia punya categories of accounting standard for Islamic financial institution. Kita dah tengok juga dia punya example of the main difference both of the standards lah, IFI and also IFRS. Examples ni yang kita dah tengok on my part 2 videos yang ada 6 start from takaful to substance over form. Okay, that one is on the example. So based on the types pula, difference on types pula of the standard. Untuk IFI dia represent macam all encompassing. For IFIs IFRS, there is a type specific, dia ada specific standard. IOV Syariah Compliance, IFRS non-Syariah Compliance. IOV they include auditing, ethics and also government. IFRS they will not include these three terms lah in the standard. Ni based on the types only, bukan dalam standard dia lagi, ni types only. Okay, category of accounting standards for IFIs. So there is 3 category of accounting standard which for IOV lah. So IOV standard issued because IFRS atau ASB tadi tu cannot be adopted in whole by Islamic financial institution. Sebab tadi ada gunakan interest dalam sesuatu aktiviti tu. So sebab tu dia create another standard regulatory body, IOV, for Islamic financial institution. Okay. IOV juga is a standard issued for specific Islamic banking and finance practices not covered by IFRS standard. So IOV memang untuk Islamic banking lah, and finance that maybe and may not be covered dalam IFRS. Okay. IFRS ataupun IASB tadi tu can be adopted by IFIs, tapi IOV does not issue similar ones and allow adoptions of those standard. Betul. Macam tadi, IOV boleh guna, IOV tak boleh guna sepenuhnya standard IFRS, but IFRS boleh guna sepenuhnya standard IOV. That is the category of accounting standard for IFIs lah. As for the first category, which is IOV standard issued by IFRS, because IFRS punya standard tu cannot be adopted wholly by IFIs, kan? So due to Sharia compliance issue or because IFRS standard do not fully cover characteristic of Islamic banking or finance, that's why they create another standard which is nama dia IOV. So in this case, IOV standard issued to apply to topics covered by IFRS but in Islamic punya terms lah. So example like IFRS FES 1 in terms of the general presentation and disclosure yang covers IES 1 presentation and also 7 cash flow, 18 on revenue. So ini FES 1 ni cover IAS 1 of IFRS 7 and also 17. Dan ini is IOV punya standard. Ini is IFRS punya standard lah. Okay. So the second category tadi dia cakap IOV tu issue untuk Islamic banking sahaja, yang probably practicesnya tu not covered by IFRS tu. So financial transaction and practices unique to Islamic banking and finance. So IOVs tu hanya ada financial transaction and practices that unique for Islamic banking sahaja. And in this case, IOV tu standard are issued to apply the topic yang tak ada cover under IFRS lah. Sama macam first category. So contohnya untuk IES 2, which in terms of murabaha and also murabaha to the purchase orderer, and also IFES 7 on salam and parallel salam. So meaning dalam IFRS ni tak ada dua standard ni lah, IES 2 and also IES 7. Okay, yang ni tadi dia kata tu IFRS punya standard tak boleh adopt by Islamic bank sebab this standard do not give rise to Sharia compliance, and are adequate to cover practices of IFIs. In this case, IOFI tu does not issue equivalent standard. So sebab tu ada difference lah between IFRS and also IOFI. Tadi kita dah tengok kan dia punya perbezaan. So IFIs adopting IOFIs standard are allowed to also follow other standard if there are no equivalent IOFI standard. Meaning that here, any Islamic bank yang follow atau adopt IFIs punya standard also allowed to follow other standard if dalam standard IOFI ni tak ada mention on the punya standard yang tadi lah. Contohnya macam IES 10 and also IES 24. This is standard of IFRS where dalam IOFIs punya standard tak ada related atau tak ada mention on these two standard lah. Okay, macam tadi ni, macam ini adalah standard yang tak ada dalam IFRS. Dan ini standard dalam IFRS yang IFIs atau Islamic Bank boleh follow. Macam tadi kita dah go through on IFRS and also on kita punya IOFI, betul tak? Tapi in Malaysia dia ada juga their own standard, which is satunya yang ini MASB FRS 1 yang dia bagi nama MASB Tri 3 ni. So dia ni adalah standard yang supervised by BNM atau Bank Negara Malaysia kita. So dia ialah standard yang to be applied by any financial institution yang undertake Islamic banking activities. Contohnya macam kita akan ada CIMB. CIMB is a conventional bank, but then dalam CIMB dia juga ada lakukan Islamic banking activities ni. Kan dia ada CIMB Islamic Bank, betul tak? So framework ini, MASB ni adalah diguna-pakaikan untuk institution yang macam ni lah. And then dia juga dalam standard ni dia dah specify complete set of financial statement, which is including the balance sheet, the income statement, SOCE, cash flow, and also the punya accounting policy and also explanationary notes. Dalam standard ni, dia recommend company ataupun institution-institution yang macam CMB tadi tu to voluntarily add this disclosure. So, kiranya CMB tadi tu yang nak membuat Islamic banking activities in the institution, they need to disclose this kind of information, which is the factors determining performance, including all of the changes in the environment, and they have to disclose the sources of funding, policies on gearing and also on its risk. Dia punya IFIs or dia punya Islamic activity tadi tu, strength, resources whose value yang not reflected in the balance sheet. So this is all information that need to be disclosed by the CIMB kinds of financial institution tadi tu if they using ataupun buat Islamic banking activities in the institution. Besides that, standard ni juga dah ada prescribe kan lah financial statement untuk IFIs ataupun untuk company tadi tu. Dia kena stated kan the name of the IFIs, contoh CIMB Islamic Bank. Dia punya individuals or group financial statement presented, dia kena provide juga. And also dia punya period covered by the financial statement, dia punya reporting currency, whether RM ke, USD ke, dia kena provide that information, and also the level of precision used in the presentations figure in financial statement, which mean dia kena bagi tahulah how deep or how detailed the punya financial statement need to be prepared. So dia kena provide the Bank Negara Malaysia as according to MASB tu, as required by MASB punya framework lah. Next, Bank Negara Malaysia juga ada provide another framework ataupun guideline which called GP8I ni, which is it's a guideline on the specimen report and financial statement for licensed Islamic bank. So this framework is for Islamic bank. Dalam framework ni atau dalam guideline ni, dia dah set the minimum requirement for the presentation and disclosure of the report and financial statement of this Islamic bank. Dia juga, macam saya cakap, it is a guideline that is adopted by the Islamic bank annually, okay, since 2004 lah. And the objective of this guideline is to provide a basis for presentation and disclosure of report and financial statements of Islamic bank ni. Dia nak semua Islamic bank dalam Malaysia have a consistent and also comparable financial statement. So dia in terms of the presentation and also the punya disclosure lah. That's all, end of our chapter 5. So we will continue for chapter 6 in our next class. Thank you for watching. Bye.